Hey, what's up? It's Cute What If. This side. Today we will be seeing what if Deku was reincarnated as Sonic. Before we move ahead with the FIC, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for future what ifs like this. Izuku Midoriya, also known as Sonic, was a reincarnation of Sonic the Hedgehog, equipped with incredible powers reminiscent of his past life. He possessed superhuman speed, strength, and durability, allowing him to leap great distances, snatch missiles from the air, and withstand powerful explosions. His agility was unmatched, enabling him to navigate through challenging terrains effortlessly, even on water. Izuku had mastered martial arts, employing a unique fighting style similar to capoeira. He could manipulate energy and electricity, harnessing chaos energy to deliver powerful shocks to his opponents. His abilities included emotional empowerment, allowing him to draw strength from his feelings, and he could absorb electricity to enhance his powers. With the ability to generate extreme heat and radiation, his lightning attacks could superheat sand into glass. Izuku's combat techniques were diverse, featuring energy projection, spin attacks, and powerful kicks that unleashed shockwaves. He could leave a light trail behind him, creating various effects, from launching enemies into the air to generating an endless boost of energy. In a dramatic scene, a blue-haired boy was seen carrying a little girl on his back while fleeing from a villain named Kai Chisaki, known as Overhaul. As he ran, Izuku reflected on his life, acknowledging the constant need to escape. Memories flashed before him, including moments from his childhood when he had outsmarted bullies and times when he had saved others. Now, as an adult, he stood ready to confront Overhaul. He felt a surge of determination, realizing that he would no longer run away but would use his powers to protect his friends. As they charged at each other, the title appeared, Izuku Midoriya, the fastest hero alive. In another storyline, Marcus Matsumoto, known as Shadow, was a reincarnation of Shadow the Hedgehog. He possessed superhuman physical abilities and was an expert in various forms of combat. His skills extended to vehicular mastery, allowing him to handle motorcycles with precision while engaging in combat. Shadow could manipulate energy and electricity, enhancing his physical capabilities and generating powerful shockwaves. His abilities included time manipulation and teleportation, enabling him to evade attacks and surprise his opponents. Shadow could also project energy and create weapons, summoning spears of energy known as Chaos Spears. Meanwhile, Katsumo Bakugo, known as Knuckles, was a reincarnation of Knuckles the Echidna. He was a genius combatant, trained in lethal combat from a young age. His superhuman precision and agility allowed him to perform impressive acrobatics and navigate challenging environments. Knuckles could manipulate chaos energy and electricity, enhancing his abilities and generating shockwaves. With his unique techniques, he could perform powerful attacks, including spin attacks and devastating punches. His mastery of fire manipulation granted him the ability to ignite his fists, adding to his combat prowess. As the stories of these heroes unfolded, their journeys intertwined, showcasing their growth, challenges, and the bonds they formed along the way. This ranges from launching several enemies into the air at once to freely creating rings and giving himself an unending amount of boost for several minutes. Travis Tanaka, known as Tails, was the reincarnation of Miles, Tails, Prower. His quirk, Tail Propellers, granted him superhuman physical characteristics and speed. He was a master pilot, adeptly operating the tornado. With his two tails, he could fly, showcasing acrobatics and genius intelligence. He manipulated technology, controlling vehicles with his inventions, and could create gusts of wind to send opponents flying. His abilities included holographic projection, energy projection with his laser gun, and extrasensory perception to detect chaos energy. He could briefly paralyze opponents with his gadgets. His techniques included spin attack, spin jump, spin dash, homing attack, psyloop, tail swipe, and super tail swipe. Regina Tokage, known as Rouge, was the reincarnation of Rouge the Bat. Her quirk, Sonic Screech, provided her with superhuman physical characteristics and the ability to fly. A skilled martial artist, she had defeated formidable opponents in combat. She excelled in stealth and could predict her enemies' moves. With her sound manipulation and limited air manipulation, she could create barriers and heal herself. Her techniques included Charm Ray, Spin Attack, Spin Jump, Spin Dash, Homing Attack, Boost, and Air Boost. Her love interest was Katsumo Bakugo, also known as Knuckles. Beatrice Kendo, known as Blaze, was the reincarnation of Blaze the cat. Her quirk, Fireball, allowed her to harness fire manipulation and heat generation. She was an expert in hand-to-hand combat, gracefully combining agility with her pyrokinesis. Blaze could predict her enemies' moves and had the ability to nullify certain powers. Her techniques included pyrokinesis, axle jump, axle tornado, burst dash, burst hover, spinning claw, and fire claw. Her love interest was Izumo Midoriya, known as Silver. Izumo Midoriya, known as Silver, was the reincarnation of Silver the Hedgehog. His quirk, telekinesis, granted him superhuman physical characteristics and acrobatics. He was skilled in hand-to-hand combat and could create weapons with his psychic abilities. Silver could project energy, create force fields, and induce paralysis from a distance. His techniques included Psycho Smash, Psycho Shock, Teleport Dash, ESP Psychic Control, Levitate, Meteor Smash, Spin Attack, Spin Dash, and Chaos Control. His love interest was Beatrice Kendo, also known as Blaze. Isabelle Shizuki, known as Cosmo, was the reincarnation of Cosmo the Cedrian. Her quirk, Plant Life, allowed her to empathize with plants and manipulate them. She had enhanced jumping abilities and could float down gracefully. Cosmo could heal with her seeds, create force fields, and throw fruits as projectiles. Her love interest was Travis Tanaka, known as Tails. After the incident at USJ, the League of Villains gathered, excluding their leader, to discuss the recent events. Shigaraki expressed his frustration, noting the unexpected strength of the blue-haired student who had effortlessly taken down Nomu. Kurogiri suggested that this student might be as powerful as Prime All Might. A mysterious voice reassured them that it wasn't a failure, just a means of learning from mistakes. All for One appeared and took a seat in his chair. He had been in contact with someone he believed would be beneficial to their cause. Shigaraki, curious, asked who this person could be. Suddenly, a black-haired scientist with a mustache entered the room, accompanied by another male figure and numerous robots. He confidently declared that he was now in charge. Shigaraki, taken aback, tried to respond, but the scientist quickly interrupted him, asserting his authority. He placed a quirk dampener around Shigaraki's neck and whispered that he was in charge. The scientist held up a badge for the League of Villains to see, boasting about his superiority in a world filled with lesser beings. He pointed upward and explained the vast disparity in their ranks. Agent Stone, the scientist's assistant, remarked that the doctor found Shigaraki's performance lacking, especially after the recent attack. Dr. Eggman initiated a sweep sequence, preparing his robots for deployment. He noticed Shigaraki's stern expression and questioned if he was still being glared at. Agent Stone confirmed that he was. Dr. Eggman then threatened to expose Shigaraki's search history if he didn't stop staring. Shigaraki, annoyed, made it clear he could hear them. Dr. Eggman dismissed Shigaraki's identity, stating that nobody cared about his accomplishments. He walked around the League of Villains, belittling them and making sarcastic remarks about their achievements. He expressed his affection for machines, highlighting their obedience and reliability. He instructed Shigaraki to stand aside and watch his robots do the work. Frustrated, Shigaraki walked away, while Agent Stone turned to Dr. Eggman, who felt a sense of evolution in the air. In another scene, a blue-haired boy was seen carrying a little girl on his back as they ran. They were being pursued by a Yakuza leader with a beak-like mask. As they fled, the boy's thoughts were heard, acknowledging the situation they were in. Why was that incredibly handsome guy carrying a little girl while being chased by a man with a beak-like mask? The scene shifts to a young Izuku running away after playing a prank on some bullies who had tried to pick on a quirkless child. He reflected on his life, feeling as though he had been running for as long as he could remember. As he continued to flee, the bullies, led by a boy named Katsuki, shouted angrily behind him. Suddenly, Izuku found himself in a moment of embarrassment when his pants were pulled down, causing everyone to laugh. Katsuki, furious, yelled out Izuku's name in frustration. In a nearby tree, a red-haired boy, Katsumo, watched the scene unfold with a sigh of annoyance. He was tired of seeing his brother pick on quirkless children. As Katsumo approached, Izuku was busy showcasing his parkour skills, expressing his love for Japan's beauty, including its sandy beaches and tall buildings. He noted that he could run across town in less than 2 seconds, which he found quite impressive. Years later, a young Izuku jumped a ramp, managing to outrun another group of bullies. He recalled how extraordinary powers had manifested within him at the age of 4, and he had been told to keep them a secret. Like any child, he did the opposite. Izuku ran across bridges until he reached his house, where he was greeted by his mother, Inko, who had prepared a chili dog for him. She asked about his day at school, and he shared that it was the same as usual, putting bullies in their places and running too fast. He then presented her with a flower, bringing a smile to her face. Several years later, on Izuku's last day at Aldra Junior High, everything seemed fine until Katsuki and his friends blocked his path. Izuku described Katsuki as a bully who picked on quirkless children, while the staff at Aldra turned a blind eye to his actions. Just as Katsuki began to taunt him, Katsumo intervened, reminding Katsuki to stay away from others. Katsumo then confronted Katsuki and his friends, easily taking them down one by one, showcasing his strength. Izuku thanked Katsumo, who encouraged him not to mention it. They exchanged a fist bump, solidifying their friendship. Izuku admired Katsumo, noting that he was the opposite of Katsuki, stubborn at times but with a heart of a warrior. An hour later, Izuku and Katsumo raced through Mizudafu, with Izuku expressing his satisfaction with his life, filled with friends, family, and a state-of-the-art security system. He was seen reading comics while lying on top of a train, proclaiming Mizudafu to be the greatest place in Japan. In the afternoon, Izuku and Katsumo engaged in a friendly boxing match, showcasing their camaraderie. Later, Izuku helped a transfer student named Travis with a project. Travis was known for his intelligence and lived with a plant lover named Isabel. In a restaurant, Izuku shared a meal with his brother Izumo, who had just predicted a villain attack near a park. Izuku described Izumo as someone who could foresee the future. They quickly paid their bill and rushed to the location of the impending danger. Meanwhile, the sludge villain was holding 2 hostages, one of whom was a girl with pink hair. Pro-heroes like Death Arms, Kamui Woods, and Mount Lady struggled to intervene, while Backdraft worked to extinguish a fire nearby. Just as the villain was about to take the girl, Izuku dashed in, executing a move that freed the hostages. With a powerful attack, Izumo used his telekinesis to lift the villain, unleashing a barrage of meteors upon him. As the police arrived, the 2 brothers exchanged a knowing glance and quickly fled the scene before the pro-heroes could confront them. Izuku felt that this was just the beginning of his journey to become a hero, just as he had always dreamed. In the following chapters, new characters emerged, each with their unique abilities and stories, contributing to the ever-expanding world of heroes and villains. Izuku prepared for the UA entrance exams, grabbing a chili dog on his way out, savoring the moment as he stepped into his future. "I love chili dogs." As he walked out of his house, he saw his friends outside while Travis yawned. Katsumo remarked that it took Sonico long enough. Izumo then jumped off the roof, floating down. He declared that the gang was all reunited, and Travis urged everyone to go. Katsumo added that the last one to arrive would pay for lunch. The 4 of them ran as fast as they could, while Inko smiled, watching her children grow. At UA High, the 4 arrived at the school. Katsumo commented that it was a tie, to which Izuku agreed. Izumo asked if his brother was ready, and Izuku confidently replied that he was born ready. A pink-haired girl in a red dress approached them, asking if they were new as well. Izuku recognized her as Amelie Shimura, the girl who had been captured by the sludge villain, and introduced himself and his friends. Amelie wished them luck, and Izuku returned the sentiment as she bowed and left. Travis questioned if the troublesome person was really there, and Katsumo speculated that, given the recommendations, he wouldn't be surprised. Izumo dismissed the concern, stating that he wasn't worth the trouble and reminded them they had an exam to take. They entered UA High. Moments later, Izuku and his friends took their seats as Cementos finished distributing the test papers. Cementos announced that everyone had 2 hours to complete the test, and they began writing. 30 minutes later, Travis finished and approached Cementos to submit his paper. Cementos confirmed his completion and instructed him to head to the auditorium. As Travis left, a black-haired student named Marcus handed in his test, prompting Cementos to comment on his performance. Marcus simply huffed and made his way to the auditorium. Izuku and his friends continued to finish their exams, followed by Amelie and several other new students. Everyone was surprised to see the newcomers completing the tests. In the auditorium, Izuku and his friends chatted until the lights dimmed, focusing on Present Mike, who greeted the audience enthusiastically. Izuku, Travis, and Katsumo cheered in unison, while Marcus groaned in annoyance, and Amelie smiled. Amelie expressed her fondness for the group, while Regina noted that the year would be interesting. Isabel added that it wouldn't be for some, and Beatrice warned the jocks to stay off her bad side. Present Mike acknowledged the spirited students and began explaining the entrance exams. Suddenly, a blue-haired boy with glasses raised his hand, questioning a discrepancy in the number of robots mentioned in the pamphlet. Marcus, annoyed, called him an idiot for interrupting. Ida confronted Marcus, who smirked and declared himself the ultimate life form. Present Mike warned Marcus that further interruptions would result in being asked to leave. As the presentation continued, Izuku held back laughter while Ida sat down, unimpressed. Present Mike clarified that the fourth robot was worth 0 points. A few minutes later, as the entrance exams approached, Marcus entered, eyeing some students who had tried to pick on him. He dismissed them as weaklings and turned his attention back to the group. Izuku trained with a jump rope and nunchucks, while Katsumo shattered a sandbag, Izumo meditated, and Travis wrote strategies. Marcus reflected on his deceased childhood friend, Maria, as the gates opened. Izuku rallied his friends, asking if they were ready for round 2. Katsumo confirmed, and Marcus proposed a challenge. Izuku accepted, and they dashed toward the gate, followed by Amelie and other students, leaving onlookers confused. Present Mic's voice boomed through the loudspeakers, urging everyone to start without a countdown. The contestants rushed inside, where Izuku executed his homing shot on a 2-point robot while Marcus launched spears at a 3-point robot. Travis and Katsumo took down a 2-point robot, while Regina and Beatrice showcased their skills against other robots. Izumo used his telekinesis to lift a robot, and Isabel summoned a vine to slam it down. Trixie and Kenji also displayed their prowess. Meanwhile, in the observation room, the staff watched the participants. Nizu noted that they had a promising batch this year, especially the group led by Izuku. All Might expressed curiosity about their abilities, while Eraserhead speculated that they might be reincarnations from a planet named Mobius. Nizu decided it was time to see what they could really do and pressed a button. Back at the entrance exams, Izuku finished another 3-point robot, feeling satisfied. Suddenly, an earthquake shook the ground as a 0-point robot emerged, causing panic among the participants. Marcus recognized the situation as a hidden factor and urged everyone to combine their efforts. They executed a coordinated spin dash, destroying the robot and approaching the other participants. Katsumo criticized them for being unskilled and untrained, leaving everyone in shock. Recovery Girl offered the group some gum, which they accepted before walking away. Later, Izuku and his friends exited UA after the exam, with Izuku commenting that it had been easy. Travis agreed. Maybe sometime next year, it will be challenging for the next generation. As they walked away, Marcus was seen on the rooftop, watching over them with crossed arms. He thought to himself that this wouldn't be as boring as he initially believed. This was just the beginning of Izuku's journey, filled with friendships and rivalries. Izuku and his group were heading towards UA when they encountered Nizu and a female figure with rabbit ears. Nizu greeted the kids, and Izuku responded with a friendly hello, referring to him as the Rat God, a title Nizu found amusing. Izumo asked what they owed this visit, and Nizu explained that due to their excellent performance, he had decided to create Class 1S. Manami Usagi, their new teacher, introduced herself and instructed them to follow her. The class nodded in agreement and followed her to their new classroom, where they noticed a large door designed for giant quirk users. Travis remarked on the thoughtful design, while Katsumo urged everyone to enter. Inside, they met 3 female classmates, and Izumo noted that they seemed to have decent company. Beatrice agreed, and the female trio approached their new classmates, expressing their admiration. Manami then asked everyone to take their seats and introduce themselves. Izuku shared his name and hobbies, including running and pranking bullies. Marcus introduced himself in a monotone voice, expressing his desire for peace. Katsumo mentioned his hobbies of fighting and exercising, while Travis shared his mixed heritage and interests in studying and inventing. Regina introduced herself as Setsuna's sister and a lover of jewels. Izumo, Izuku's brother, mentioned his hobby of predicting the future, hinting at a looming villain attack. Beatrice warned that anyone who crossed her would face consequences. Isabel introduced herself as Ibra's sister, and Trixie mentioned her transfer from America. Kenji, blushing at Minami's presence, kept his hobbies to himself. Amelie stated she didn't have a specific hobby, while Ayam shared her love for skateboarding and stunts. Amanda introduced herself and mentioned her independent lifestyle, followed by Sarah, who was a rival-turned-friend of Amanda, and Hannah, who enjoyed alchemy. Manami concluded the introductions by revealing her pro-hero name, Vanilla, and instructed them to change for training, as they would be joining Class 1A. After a time skip, both Class 1S and 1A stood in front of their teachers at the training field. Eraserhead announced it was time for their quirk assessment and tossed a ball to Izuku, instructing him to throw it as far as he could without leaving the circle. Izuku powered up and launched the ball, impressing everyone with his score, which shocked all except Marcus, who dismissed it as beginner's luck. Mina expressed her excitement about using their quirks, while Marcus cautioned her about the seriousness of being a hero. Travis explained that Eraserhead was the strictest teacher and that the previous Class 1A had been expelled for lack of potential. Class 1A shivered at the thought. Katsumo reminded them that hero work involved real dangers, and Marcus shared his own experience of loss at a young age. Travis mentioned his struggles with bullying due to his quirk. Izuku emphasized that those seeking fame and glory should reconsider their motives, as true heroes were meant to be role models. Eraserhead warned that the last place in the assessment would face expulsion. After everyone gave their best effort, Mineta ended up in last place for Class 1A, while Trixie was last in Class 1S. Manami reassured them that the expulsion threat was merely a motivator to push them to excel. The next day, Class 1S arrived at the dorms, where Manami welcomed them to their home away from home. They were amazed by the facilities, which included fully equipped rooms and a common area with various amenities. Manami explained the layout of the dorms, with male and female rooms assigned to different wings. Marcus questioned the funding for such a facility, and Travis mentioned the guardian units of nations, causing Marcus to clench his fists as he pondered the implications of the name. She left the students to unpack their belongings, and they each headed to their respective rooms. Once they finished unpacking and decorating, the class gathered in the common area to relax for a while. Izuku expressed his contentment, reflecting on how they had all made it into UA and formed their own class. He turned to Amanda, curious about what motivated her and her friends to become heroes. Amanda shared her past, revealing that as a baby, she had been taken from her family by a gang called the Red Scarves, who trained her to defend herself against those who misused their quirks. Sarah chimed in, explaining that her stepfamily had placed high expectations on her, hoping she would follow in their footsteps. Feeling trapped, she ran away and joined the same gang as Amanda. They participated in a tournament and earned prize money, but soon discovered the gang's darker side, including their willingness to resort to violence when they killed someone who had bullied their leader. The class gasped in shock at their stories. Amanda continued, stating that this was why they left the gang and decided to pursue heroism instead. Izuku then turned to Hannah, asking about her story. Hannah revealed that she had always lived without a family until she met Amanda and Sarah. In her loneliness, she had even pretended to have a friend by creating a face on a tree and naming it Mr. Stump. The group reacted with disbelief at her tale. Beatrice expressed her sorrow, while Isabel remarked that no one should have to live like that. Marcus reflected on the harsh realities of the world, sharing that he had lost many things in his childhood and wanted to become a hero to fulfill a promise he made to a friend. Suddenly, their stomachs growled, prompting Marcus to groan about the timing. Izuku suggested chili dogs, and Katsumo offered to share a recipe. Regina volunteered to help him. Moments later, they gathered in Katsumo's dorm to see the food he had prepared. Izuku was puzzled by the dish and learned it was a sea dog instead of a chili dog. Everyone took a bite, and Isabelle mumbled that it tasted delicious, confirming Katsumo's confidence in his cooking. Meanwhile, in a laboratory, two unknown figures discussed a plan involving a robot that had just been completed. One of them mentioned being contacted by a figure named All for One, who intended to send his minions to UA to observe their rivals. The other expressed indifference toward All Might, the #1 hero, and revealed their ambition to lead the League of Villains, confident that the villains would fail their mission. They intended to test the newly completed robot. The next day at UA, Class 1S was in the gym, training to stay in top shape. After their training, they returned to their dorms to prepare for school. Manami, their teacher, announced that it was combat training day and that they would be joining Class 1A. She revealed their hero costumes and instructed them to grab their suitcases and meet her at Fake City. Once at Fake City, both classes donned their hero costumes, and All Might praised their heroic appearances. He explained the rules of the training exercise, which involved capturing a bomb or defeating the villains to win. The pairings were drawn randomly, and Izuku found himself teamed up with Katsumo, while other students were paired off. Katsumo expressed his readiness for the challenge, and Izuku prepared to use his speed. As the match began, they discovered they would face Marcus and Katsuki. Katsumo felt a mix of determination and apprehension about facing his brother. Outside the building, they devised a strategy, knowing Marcus would not give Katsuki a chance to fight Izuku. Izuku noted Marcus's impressive abilities, including teleportation and the power known as chaos control. Katsumo realized that if the villains captured Marcus, it would pose a significant threat. They focused on their objective as All Might signaled for the hero team to enter. As they entered the building, they raced to the floor where the bomb was hidden. Suddenly, Marcus teleported in, grabbing Katsumo and launching him against the wall with a powerful kick. Izuku charged at Marcus, who teleported again, seizing Izuku's neck and slamming him through several floors. As the dust settled, Marcus stood over Izuku, warning him not to get up if he wanted to avoid further trouble. Despite the odds, Izuku managed to rise and powered up, determined to continue the chase. Meanwhile, Katsumo regained his footing and noticed the destruction left by Marcus's attacks. He resolved to head toward the bomb. In the observation room, the students from Class 1S and Class 1A watched in shock as Marcus displayed his ruthless tactics in the match. Izuku pursued Marcus, who fired energy bullets at him. Izuku skillfully dodged the shots, but as he closed in, Marcus teleported to a wall, causing Izuku to stumble. Undeterred, Izuku powered up again, ready to confront Marcus once more. They powered up and prepared to strike each other, but as their fists collided, a blackout enveloped the fake city. In the observation room, Travis operated a drone, allowing both classes to witness the unfolding events between Katsumo and Katsuki. Katsumo reached the floor where the bomb was located, just as Katsuki prepared to launch an attack. Katsuki declared that Katsumo would never obtain his power. With fierce determination, he propelled himself toward Katsumo, intent on unleashing his explosive abilities. However, as he was about to strike, Katsumo seized his fist. Despite the explosion, Katsumo remained unfazed, as if the blast had been diminished to nothing. Katsumo retaliated with a series of powerful punches, sending Katsuki crashing into the wall before he leaped toward the bomb and touched it. Travis's drone arrived just in time to capture the moment Katsumo made contact with the device. Meanwhile, Izuku and Marcus groaned as they got back on their feet, and All Might's voice echoed through the room, announcing the victory of the hero team. Marcus scoffed, commenting on Katsuki's lack of effectiveness, while Izuku reflected on Katsumo's impressive performance. Katsumo then approached the two, and Izuku noted that Katsumo had managed without his help. Katsumo confidently stated that he was powered by sheer muscle. They exited the building and reunited with their classmates. Izuku expressed his gratitude to Travis for building the drone in time, to which Travis replied that friends support each other. Manami added that without Travis's gadget, they would have been left in the dark regarding the outcome of the battle. Izuku chuckled nervously, apologizing for the blackout, while Marcus merely huffed in response. Suddenly, Amelie rushed over to hug Izuku tightly, expressing her concern for him. Izuku reassured her, but Marcus warned him that if he kept talking, he might regret it. Izuku smirked, teasingly questioning if that was a threat, to which Marcus replied that it was a promise his desire to hit Izuku would only grow with each word. Manami intervened, reminding them that the battle was over and suggesting they relax while the remaining teams continued their training. Izuku and Katsumo shrugged and left, while Marcus crossed his arms and teleported away. The next day, Class 1S gathered in their classroom, awaiting the arrival of their sensei. When she finally entered, Manami addressed the class, stating that they would be selecting a class president and a vice president through a vote, encouraging everyone to choose someone they felt confident in. Manami announced the results of the election, revealing that Izuku Midoriya would be the president and Travis Tanaka would serve as vice president. Izuku, surprised but determined, vowed to do everything in his power to be the best class president for their class. Travis expressed his commitment to doing his best as vice president. A short while later, Class 1S was enjoying lunch together. Izuku found the chili dog delicious, while Katsumo shared his love for sea dogs and grape juice. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the building, signaling a Level 3 security breach. Panic erupted among the students as they pushed and shoved to escape. Izuku noticed the press outside and turned to Travis, who nodded and dashed back to their room to grab a microphone he had invented. With a burst of energy, he flew back to the group. Travis called for calm, explaining that the media was simply trying to interview All Might. The students looked out the window and saw the reporters, quickly settling down and returning to their meals. Meanwhile, a muscular detective named Evan was investigating a destroyed gate when a ninja appeared beside him. The ninja, Vincent, informed Evan that a reporter had mentioned a man in a hoodie had approached the gate moments before it was destroyed. Evan concluded that it was a planned attack, and Vincent suggested they call Charles for a meeting with the principal about the incident. The next day, Class 1S boarded a bus to the USJ. On the way, Izuku engaged in conversation with the Big Three, impressing Nijire with his answers to her numerous questions, which surprised Mirio and Tamaki. Nijire blushed slightly, causing Amelie to feel a twinge of jealousy. Upon arriving at the USJ, they were greeted by 13, Endeavor, and Nira Lee. Amanda and Sarah felt a sense of dread at Nira's presence, recalling their past experiences with her. Nira explained what had happened to All Might, noting he had exceeded his time limit, which prompted Marcus to scoff in disdain. Class 1A glared at Marcus, while the girls from Class 1A focused their attention on Izuku, squealing in excitement. Nira continued to explain their activities at USJ when suddenly, the lights flickered, and a purple vortex appeared, from which various villains emerged. Nira expressed confusion, stating she hadn't mentioned any fake villains, while 13 confirmed they were real threats. Class 1S stepped forward to confront the villains, with Katsumo cracking his knuckles in preparation. The leader of the villains introduced themselves as the League of Villains, declaring their intent to destroy All Might. Kurojairi, one of the villains, prepared to summon portals. Before he could act, Marcus intervened with a teleportation ability, swiftly taking down the villains one by one before returning to Class 1S. However, Kurojairi and Shigaraki remained. Shigaraki was taken aback by Marcus's sudden appearance, while Marcus taunted him. Kurojairi opened a portal, and a monstrous creature with an exposed brain and a beak-like mask emerged, roaring at Class 1S. Shigaraki commanded the creature, named Nomu, to attack, revealing it was designed to defeat All Might. Izuku, Travis, and Marcus managed to evade Nomu's powerful strike, while most of Class 1S was knocked down, except for Katsumo, who dodged and welcomed the challenge. As Katsumo and Nomu exchanged blows, the resulting shockwave sent many students sprawling. Travis readied a cannon attachment on his arm to shoot at Nomu, but the creature caught Katsumo and hurled him toward Travis. Izumo attempted to strike Nomu with various objects, but they shattered upon impact. Amelie charged in with her hammer, executing a powerful attack, but Nomu quickly regenerated and retaliated, sending her flying. Izuku caught her just in time. Realizing the creature wouldn't be easily defeated, Izuku instructed Amelie to hold onto her hammer while he charged at Nomu. The two engaged in a fierce battle, exchanging blows at high speed. Shigaraki and Kurogiri watched in disbelief as Izuku matched Nomu's strength. Frustrated, Shigaraki ordered the creature to eliminate Izuku. As the fight continued, Izuku decided to accelerate his attacks. He unleashed his Phantom Rush, overwhelming Nomu with supersonic speed and power. He executed a Psyloop, launching Nomu into the air, and followed up with a homing shot, sending 10 shockwave spheres toward it. Marcus then joined in, using his Chaos Blast to vaporize Nomu, leaving Shigaraki in shock. Shigaraki, furious, declared that the League of Villains would change society, but Marcus dismissed him as a child throwing a tantrum. Kurogiri suggested retreating, and Shigaraki reluctantly agreed, vowing that they would return. As the villains retreated, Izuku rushed to check on his classmates, while pro-heroes apprehended the defeated villains. Izuku asked if everyone was alright, and Travis assured him they were. Izumo expressed doubt about their chances against such a creature, but Eraserhead reminded them that their safety was what mattered most. He praised their efforts and encouraged them to remember this experience as they returned to UA. Meanwhile, Nira remained behind to file a report, secretly impressed by Izuku's performance while maintaining her composure. Several days had passed since the USJ attack, and the students enjoyed a brief respite from school while the staff and police worked to address the aftermath. During this time, the staff gathered for a meeting to discuss the recent events. Eraserhead expressed his belief that the attack was premeditated, noting that too many factors aligned for it to be a coincidence. Present Mike questioned his certainty, prompting Eraserhead to mention that Shigaraki had somehow known when the USJ event would take place. Nizu added that the planned attack was more complex than they had initially thought. Thanks to the new student and his Serum of Truth, they had extracted valuable information from one of the grunts present during the attack. Midnight inquired about the specifics of the information obtained. Just then, Yamato entered with Nira, their serious demeanor shifting the atmosphere in the room. Nira announced that they had uncovered troubling information during the integration process, necessitating an immediate decision. Present Mike urged them to slow down and clarify what they had discovered. Nira placed a device on the table, which had been created by the new student, and activated it to display a holographic video of the interrogation. Nira prompted the captured individual to explain how they had known about the USJ event. The individual revealed that they had received intel from someone within UA who had previously been quirkless but gained a quirk in exchange for loyalty to their leader. This informant had provided crucial details about the timing of the event involving both Class 1A and Class 1S. Yamato pressed for the informant's identity, learning that he was a blonde student currently in Class 1A, and that he used a device to enhance his quirk's effectiveness. Nira concluded the interrogation, expressing gratitude for the cooperation. As the footage ended, Aizawa clenched his fist in frustration, Present Mike shook his head in disappointment, and Midnight struggled to comprehend the implications of the information. Nizu sat silently, hands intertwined, acknowledging the gravity of the situation. Nira pointed out the clear presence of a spy among them, working for the League of Villains. Present Mike expressed disbelief at the situation, while Eraserhead had anticipated such a betrayal. Midnight raised concerns about how to address the traitor within their ranks, specifically a Class 1A student. Nizu deemed the situation concerning, suggesting they monitor Bakugo, Kaminari, and Aoyama, all of whom were blonde and could be potential suspects. Eraserhead cautioned against expelling any of them without solid evidence. Present Mike agreed that caution was warranted. Nizu confirmed that they would proceed with the sports festival as planned, emphasizing the importance of not allowing fear to dictate their actions. Nira and Yamato were assigned to oversee security during the festival and were encouraged to bring additional heroes if necessary. As the duo departed the office, the remaining staff continued to discuss the upcoming festival, aware that a new threat loomed on the horizon. With the League of Villains having infiltrated Class 1A, it was only a matter of time before chaos ensued. They could only hope their heroes would be prepared for the challenges ahead. Meanwhile, while the UA staff addressed the pressing news regarding the League of Villains and their spy, Izuku was busy preparing for something special. He checked his hair, applied perfume, and ensured his outfit was perfect before dashing out, unaware that his friends were watching. Izumo remarked on Izuku's transformation into a ladies' man. Just then, Beatrice hugged his arm as Travis and Katsumo headed to their room. Travis mentioned returning to his project, while Katsumo decided to resume training in light of the upcoming sports festival. Izuku arrived at the mall, where Amelie, Amanda, Sarah, and Hannah awaited him. Amelie rushed to greet him with a tight hug, eliciting envy from the others. Izuku, aiming to be a gentleman, kissed her cheek, causing her to squeal with delight. He encouraged everyone to enjoy their date, and the group giggled as they explored the mall together, blissfully unaware of the reactions from other shoppers. They began their outing at the arcade, immersing themselves in classic games and enjoying each other's company. Hannah was immersed in a game of Pac-Man arrangement, enjoying every moment spent with her friends. Izuku admired the girls' skills, noting how good they were at video games. Amanda explained that she and Sarah often played for hours, while Izuku shared that he and his brother played almost every night, despite having class the next day. Laughter filled the air as they continued their gaming session. After indulging in arcade games, they transitioned to their date, with the girls smiling brightly. Amelie expressed that it was the nicest date they had ever had, and Amanda agreed wholeheartedly. Sarah chimed in, promising that they would do this often, while Hannah assured Izuku that they would always be by his side. Izuku felt a wave of warmth at their words, knowing that he had their support. As they continued to chat, they made their way to a restaurant, where the girls relished Izuku's company, and he enjoyed theirs in return. After a delightful time at the mall, they returned to their dorms. In a playful moment, the four girls took turns giving Izuku affectionate kisses, each lasting 30 seconds. With goofy smiles on their faces, they headed back to their respective rooms. In his mind, Izuku vowed to protect everyone he loved, determined to face any evil that might arise. He was unaware that a lurking threat was about to be revealed. Meanwhile, after the incident at USJ, the League of Villains gathered, excluding their leader, to discuss recent events. Shigaraki expressed his frustration, feeling that the heroes had become unexpectedly strong, particularly a blue-haired student who had easily defeated a formidable foe. Kurogiri suggested that this student might possess power comparable to All Might in his prime. Suddenly, All for One entered, taking a seat and revealing that he had contacted someone who could be beneficial to their cause. Shigaraki was curious about this new ally. A mysterious figure, a black-haired scientist with a mustache, appeared alongside robots and another male figure, declaring that he was now in charge. Shigaraki was taken aback, but the scientist quickly asserted his authority by placing a quirk dampener around Shigaraki's neck, whispering that he was in charge. The scientist, Dr. Eggman, introduced himself and made it clear that he was the top authority among them. He initiated a sweep sequence with his robots, noting Shigaraki's stern expression and dismissing his concerns. Dr. Eggman made a series of jabs at Shigaraki, belittling his accomplishments and asserting the superiority of machines, which followed their programming without fail. Feeling disgruntled, Shigaraki walked away as Agent Stone turned to Dr. Eggman, who reveled in the idea of evolution. Unbeknownst to them, a female member of the League of Villains, Yuta, overheard their conversation and felt a pang of regret for joining the group. She resolved to warn Toga about the situation. In a nearby household, the sound of police sirens and ambulances echoed as the Chaotix detectives arrived on the scene, accompanied by Detective Tsukachi. They had received reports from witnesses about missiles striking the area, followed by a robot scanning the wreckage before departing. As they surveyed the destruction, Tsukachi remarked on the severity of the situation. Vincent spotted a clue, drawing the attention of the others. They examined the evidence, realizing it was familiar to them. Tsukachi noted that the attack had likely caused the wreckage, while Evan speculated whether the new villain group, the League of Villains, could be involved. However, he expressed doubt that they were responsible for this particular incident. Someone else was behind the attack, and a sense of foreboding settled over them. Charles pondered whether this could be a warning of a return. Suddenly, they felt a sharp pain in their heads as memories of their past lives flooded back. They recalled fighting alongside a certain red echidna and a red armadillo to thwart Dr. Eggman and a robotic duplicate of a blue hedgehog. As they returned to the present, the reality of their situation became clear. Vincent turned to Tsukachi, expressing the urgency of their predicament. They needed to find and apprehend Dr. Eggman immediately. Tsukachi, confused, asked what was happening. Vincent explained that in another life, he, Evan, and Charles had battled Eggman alongside Knuckles and Mighty. Tsukachi was taken aback, struggling to comprehend their origins. Vincent elaborated that the recent attack was orchestrated by one of Eggman's robots, hinting at a larger scheme. Tsukachi found it hard to believe, but Evan reminded him that Tsukachi's quirk could discern the truth in Vincent's words. Tsukachi pressed for the reason behind their urgency to capture Eggman. Vincent warned that Eggman might be allied with the League of Villains, possibly even leading them since the USJ incident. Tsukachi was skeptical, questioning how Eggman could assume leadership. Vincent insisted that Eggman was no ordinary villain. His intellect surpassed that of typical adversaries. After a moment of contemplation, Tsukachi resolved to assist them in apprehending Eggman. He instructed the officers to secure a search warrant for the notorious villain, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. As the ambulance transported the remnants of the crime scene, Tsukachi gazed at the sky, sensing that a dark day loomed, one that would disrupt the peace of hero society. He wondered just how far this turmoil would extend, unaware that the impending change would be greater than he, the Chaotix detectives, or anyone else could foresee. Maxwell Kirishima, also known as Mighty, was a reincarnation of Mighty the Armadillo. He possessed superhuman physical characteristics, exceptional combat skills, and unique abilities such as acrobatics and resistance to extreme conditions. His techniques included the powerful hammer drop and the agile wall jump. His love interest was Maisie Togata, also known as Marine the Raccoon, who had her own impressive set of abilities, including water manipulation and vehicle mastery. In Class 1S, Manami stood before the students as 3 new individuals entered. She encouraged them to introduce themselves. George Takahashi shared his background, explaining how his telekinesis and technomancy had earned him a spot in Class 1S. Maxwell Kirishima introduced himself as Eijiro Kirishima's brother, highlighting his own resilience. Finally, Maisie Togata, the younger sister of Mirio Togata, expressed her aspiration to become a hero in her own right. As the students settled into their seats, George sat beside Izuku Midoriya, initiating a budding friendship. Manami then announced that despite the recent attack at the USJ, the staff had decided to proceed with the sports festival. The students gasped in shock, but George reassured them that it was important not to cower in fear. Izuku agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to demonstrate UA's strength in the face of adversity. Marcus, with a monotone voice, added that it was a chance to showcase the new generation's potential. Manami affirmed their sentiments, setting the stage for the challenges ahead. That's why the teacher encouraged the students to train hard so they could demonstrate their true potential. Class 1S responded in unison, affirming their commitment. The day continued until the bell rang, signaling the end of classes. That night, Izuku engaged in various exercises, including running, jumping rope, and practicing martial arts. Meanwhile, Travis analyzed classes 1A and 1B, studying their quirks and weaknesses to devise strategies to outsmart them. Katsumo was busy lifting weights and punching a sandbag, while Marcus practiced target shooting. Regina trained her abilities, skillfully dodging security lasers and collecting a diamond. Izumo meditated while levitating, and Beatrice focused on controlling her fire powers. Isabel tended to plants, using her plant manipulation to thwart poachers. Trixie practiced her martial arts techniques, and Kenny worked on honing his skills and instincts. Iam hoverboarded through obstacles, and George upgraded weapons for the upcoming sports festival. Amelie charged her one-for-all, throwing her hammer like a boomerang to take down several robots before catching it again. Amanda, Sarah, and Hannah trained together, running through a forest, while Maxwell built endurance and Maisie practiced her water manipulation techniques. Unbeknownst to them, E-123 Omega observed from various locations, analyzing Class 1S before returning to his master. Several days later, Class 1S prepared for the sports festival, while 2 students remained on the sidelines, feeling left out. Ben expressed his frustration about not participating, lamenting that his grandfather should have enrolled them at UA earlier. His cousin, Gwen, urged him to appreciate the opportunity to start his journey as an official hero. Ben insisted he was a hero, but Gwen pointed out they were more like juvenile vigilantes. Eraserhead, also known as Shota Aizawa, overheard and commented on Ben's misunderstanding of their situation, reminding him that they were far from home in Japan. Ben clenched his fists, but his grandfather's reassuring pat on the shoulder made him sigh in defeat. Meanwhile, Class 1S heard voices and turned to see Classes 1A and 1B approaching. Itsuka and Momo greeted them, with Izumo expressing excitement about the festival and complimenting their costumes. The students from both classes exchanged compliments, but Marcus playfully teased them, leading to a humorous moment when he startled Bakugo and Monoma. As the students prepared for the festival, Izuku wished everyone good luck. The girls blushed as Mina playfully teased Izuku about his opinion on her costume, sparking a light-hearted argument among them. Izumo intervened with his telekinesis, calling for calm just as Present Mike announced the students of classes 1S, 1A, and 1B to come to the stadium. Excitement filled the air as the students entered the stadium, greeted by cheers from the audience, including their families. Present Mike introduced the event, and the crowd erupted in applause. Midnight made a striking entrance, capturing the attention of everyone in attendance. Izuku blushed at her presence, while Marcus and Travis commented on her outfit, noting the mixed audience. Midnight commanded silence and announced that a special student would give a speech. She praised Izuku for his bravery, leadership, and heroism since the USJ incident. The audience was taken aback by the student's impressive abilities, and as Midnight introduced Izuku, the crowd cheered for him, chanting his name. His friends supported him, and even Gwen felt a blush as she watched him take the stage. Izuku expressed his gratitude to the audience for their support, acknowledging the encouragement he and his classmates received. It is with great pleasure that the announcer welcomes everyone to this year's sports festival, hoping all will enjoy the event. He wishes good luck to the participants and encourages them to give their all. He acknowledges that some may have faced discouragement and feelings of worthlessness, apologizing for their struggles. He emphasizes the importance of not listening to negativity, stating that while it may seem difficult now, things will improve in the future. With hard work and self-belief, dreams can be achieved. He reminds everyone to rely on those who care for them, including friends and family, and concludes with an inspiring call to always strive for greatness. The crowd falls silent for a moment before erupting into applause and cheers for Izuku, feeling inspired by his words. Midnight gives him a quick kiss on the cheek and winks, causing him to blush. She praises his performance, and he shyly thanks her. As he runs back to his classmates, they embrace him and congratulate him on his speech. Midnight then announces the start of the games. As the sports festival commences, Izuku, Marcus, Katsumo, Travis, Izumo, and Maxwell sprint at high speed while Beatrice, Regina, Isabel, and Kenji take to the skies. Iam rides her extreme gear, and George uses a jetpack. Maisie employs her water manipulation to block both classes 1A and 1B, while Amanda, Sarah, and Hannah combine their powers to navigate through obstacles. Trixie leaps from tree to catch up with her classmates, and Amelie slams her hammer into the ground, creating a tremor that disrupts both classes. Eventually, everyone completes the obstacle race, and the qualifying standings are revealed. First, Izuku Midoriya. Second, Marcus Matsumoto. Third, Beatrice Kendo. Fourth, Travis Tanaka. Fifth, Amanda Vines. Sixth, Katsumo Bakugo. Seventh, Izumo Midoriya. Eighth, Kenji Yamamoto. Ninth, Amelie Shimura. 10th, Sarah Lynch. 11th, I am Ito. 12th, Trixie Ojiro. 13th, Regina Togake. 14th, George Takahashi. 15th, Maisie Togata. 16th, Hana Suzaki. 17th, Isabel Shiozaki. 8th, Maxwell Kirishima. Both classes 1A and 1B finish behind them. The crowd cheers for Class 1S as the screen fades out. Trevor Tetsu, known as Thrash, is the reincarnation of Thrash the Tasmanian Devil. His quirk, Spiral Fury, grants him superhuman strength and durability, making his body nearly as hard as steel. He can achieve speed bursts by spinning his legs or torso, and his enhanced reflexes and battle instincts give him an edge in combat. Under emotional pressure, he enters Berserker mode, increasing his attack power at the cost of stamina. His techniques include Sonic Scream, Thrash Drive, Tornado Claw, Iron Spiral Smash, Tasmanian Breaker, and Recoil Rebound. His ultimate move, Ferocity Unleashed, transforms him into a blur of spinning limbs, delivering a powerful combination of strikes. Helena Ishido, known as Honey, is the reincarnation of Honey the Cat. Her quirk, Elastic Impact, provides her with superhuman physical characteristics and various abilities, including martial arts, acrobatics, limited flight, and the creation of force fields. She can scale surfaces, create afterimages, amplify her statistics, and manipulate hammer space. Her techniques include Honey Whip, Catwalk Blitz, Elastic Counter, Sugar Crash, and Charm Shatter. She utilizes combat heals, a flexible combat suit, and elastic bracers to enhance her abilities. Moments before the cavalry battle begins, several girls approach and sit beside Gwen and Ben. They introduce themselves: Emily Anderson, Kesley Ace, Lily Parker, April Sampson, Chloe Rose, Maya Ida, Rachel Bennett, Clara Yatsuba, Mackenzie Mack, and Natalie Miller. Kiki also introduces herself and asks for their names. Gwen introduces herself and her cousin Ben, who feels offended by the term dweeb. As the next event begins, Midnight explains that students must form teams of up to 4 members, including 1 rider and at least 1 horse. Each student is assigned a point value based on their preliminary performance, with points awarded for placements. The first place finisher is worth 10 million points. Individual point values are added together to determine each team's total, displayed via headbands. The objective of the game is to steal headbands to increase the team's score. Contestants are prohibited from intentionally causing each other to fall. Even if a team loses their headband or falls down, they can continue competing until the 30-minute time limit expires. Teams are formed as follows. Team Sonic Blitz, consisting of Travis Tanaka, Izuku Midoriya, Marcus Matsumoto, and Izumo Midoriya. Team Dragon Flame, with Beatrice Kendo, Amanda Vines, Sarah Lynch, and Winfred Koda. Team Wild Muscle, made up of George Takahashi, Katsumo Bakugo, Maxwell Kirishima, and Trevor Tetsu. Team Thunder Vortex, featuring Suzanne Kaminari, Zanga Kendo, I Am Uraraka, and Kenji Yamamoto. Team Chaos Breeze, including Maisie Togata, Amelie Shimura, Trixie Ojiro, and Hana Suzaki. Team Elegant Thieves, with Regina Tokage, Helena Ishido, Ashley Yayarozu, and Nito Minoma. Team Ida, consisting of Tenya Ida, Ochako Uraraka, Fumikage Tokoyami, and Tsu Azui. Team Bakugo, featuring Katsuki Bakugo, Denki Kaminari, Momo Yayarozu, and Hanta Siro. And Team Shinso, made up of Hitoshi Shinso, Mei Hatsum, Yosetsu Owaze, and Minoru Mineta. As the remaining teams are formed, Midnight announces the start of the game. All teams rush toward Team Sonic Blitz, causing Marcus to sigh in annoyance as he prepares to use his power. He activates his ability, causing everything to slow down while he swiftly takes each of his teammates to safety. When time resumes, the other teams are surprised to find Team Sonic Blitz has vanished, colliding with one another in confusion. Suddenly, Juzo uses his quirk to soften the ground, allowing Travis to fly and catch Izuku. Marcus struggles to escape, declaring himself the ultimate life form before energizing and unleashing a powerful blast to free himself. In the chaos, Kyoka attacks with her earphone jack, but Silver lifts objects to block her assault. Team Hagakure loses their points when Nito seizes their headband amidst the turmoil. A free-for-all ensues as Team Shinso and Team Tetsutetsu attempt to corner Team Sonic Blitz. Mineta throws sticky spheres, but Izumo quickly counters with his telekinesis, sending them back at both teams. Katsuki attempts to attack Izuku, but Travis generates a shield that deflects the strike while Hanta reels Katsuki in before he can land. The crowd cheers for Team Sonic Blitz as Nito tries to mimic Izumo's quirk, only to faint from the effort while Izumo catches his headband. Winfred stealthily targets Team Bakugo's headband, but Denki retaliates with an electric shock. Mineta tries to hop onto George but is thrown off by Katsumo. Denki electrifies the ground while Shoto freezes it, stealing headbands from various teams. Travis defends his team, but his gadgets malfunction in the process. Marcus draws his pistol, aiming at the other teams, but Momo counters with a stone shield. Todoroki engages Izuku, who uses his super speed to keep him at bay while Team Ida employs their quirks in an attempt to gain the upper hand. The cavalry battle concluded as Present Mike announced the top 4 teams. The first top team was Team Sonic Blitz, and Travis celebrated their advancement to the finals with excitement. Marcus remained stoic, while Izuku and Izumo shared a fist bump in camaraderie. Present Mike then revealed the second top team, Team Dragon Flame, prompting Beatrice to cheer, while Amanda and Sarah showcased their breakdancing skills, and Winfred smiled in support. The third top team, Team Wild Muscle, was announced, and Trevor and Maxwell bumped fists, proudly declaring their manliness. George, however, dismissed their bravado, only to be playfully bonked on the head by Katsumo, who proclaimed that they only needed 1,000,000% muscles. As the fourth top team was revealed, Shoto reflected on his use of fire, troubled by the fear of becoming the tool his father, Endeavor, wanted him to be. Katsuki shared similar frustrations, feeling disappointed in his own performance. A few minutes later, Izuku was enjoying some chili dogs when Shoto approached him. Shoto identified himself and mentioned his connection to Endeavor, revealing that he was his son. He expressed his desire to defeat Izuku, pointing to his scar as a reminder of his painful past. Izuku inquired if Endeavor was responsible for the scar, but Shoto clarified that it was his mother who had inflicted it in a moment of confusion. He vowed to defeat Izuku without relying on his father's fire. Izuku expressed sympathy for Shoto's situation but encouraged him to give his best effort in their future encounter, as he was determined to face him. As Shoto walked away, the scene faded out, transitioning to a new chapter featuring Stacy Monoma, also known as Styx. Her quirk, Wild Instinct, granted her superhuman physical abilities and acrobatics, allowing her to perform impressive maneuvers. She wielded her boomerang with mastery, utilizing techniques like Badger Barrage, Stick Strike, Hunter's Lunge, Echo Ears, and Feral Counter. Her love interest was George Takahashi. The chapter then introduced Rai Hatsum, known as Rotor, who possessed the Gearhead quirk. His powers included mechanical synapse, enabling him to control machines, and hyper-engineering, showcasing his genius in crafting support gear. His cybernetic enhancements granted him superhuman strength and durability, allowing him to withstand various challenges in combat. Overdrive Pulse supercharges a connected machine or powered suit beyond its limit for a short burst of enhanced performance. Armor Shift allows him to modify his own hero gear mid-battle using built-in modules for utility, such as Flight Mode, Magnetic Treads, or a Tool Arm. Field Hack temporarily disrupts enemy technology with a neural burst, making it useful against tech-reliant villains or defense systems. Support items. The custom exo-rig is worn under his clothes, enhancing lifting capacity, absorbing recoil from heavy tools, and stabilizing posture. Rotor goggles are specialized goggles that display schematics, thermal overlays, and weak points in structures or machines. The tool drone, Whirly, is a floating, AI-powered assistant drone that aids in field repairs and distraction tactics. Breaker's gauntlets are multi-tool gauntlets that can transform into a drill, wrench, or welding torch, useful for both offensive actions and rescue operations. Katsumi Usagi, known as Bunny, is the reincarnation of Bunny Rabbit. Her quirk, Cyber Spring, grants her superhuman physical characteristics, partial roboticization, enhanced senses, flight via rocket boosters, elasticity with extendable arms and legs, expertise in martial arts, energy projection through her arm cannon, force field creation, attack reflection with her shield, and resistance to extreme cold, cosmic radiation, toxins, chemical products, magnetism manipulation, and disease manipulation. Spring Dash allows her to dash across the battlefield at high speeds, ideal for hit-and-run attacks or evasive maneuvers. Rabbit Smash is a downward kinetic leg slam that releases a powerful shockwave, especially effective from a high jump. Cyber Guard transforms her mechanical arm into a reinforced energy shield for defense against energy blasts or brute force. Kinetic Reversal enables her to bounce back incoming physical attacks by absorbing the force into her limbs and redirecting it. Support items. Her hero suit is a Tech Ninja bodysuit in orange, pink, and silver, built for flexibility and kinetic conductivity, featuring minor armor plating and shock-absorbing pads. The pulse regulator is a compact battery worn on her lower back that stabilizes her energy levels and prevents overexertion. The earcom visor is custom goggles designed by Raihatsum that double as a tactical HUD and communication device. Retractable boomerangs, lightweight and reinforced, are used for distraction or mid-air attacks. At the stadium, Present Mic announces the highly anticipated Sports Festival Fighting Tournament, where the top 3 contestants will earn medals. Katsuki scoffs, confident he will take home the gold, while Suzanne grins, eager to bring him down. Present Mic introduces the first match, Izuku Midoriya vs. Hana Suzuki. The crowd erupts with excitement as Izuku stretches his gloves and bounces lightly on his feet. Hana stands calmly, her hands clasped together, her eyes filled with focus. As the match begins, Izuku vanishes in a flash of blue, circling the arena multiple times and creating gusts of wind. Hana raises her hands, activating her magic to form a glowing green cube-shaped shield. Izuku's rapid spin attack strikes, cracking the shield but not breaking it. He skids back, sparks flying from his sneakers, and acknowledges Hana's defense. Hana responds by summoning dozens of green energy cubes that float around her like mines. She gestures, launching the cubes at Izuku, who zigzags with incredible agility, dodging some and vaulting over others. One cube explodes beside him, knocking him off balance, but he quickly regains his footing. Izuku, excited by Hana's creativity, dashes again, creating a blue vortex of wind. Hana digs in her heels, summoning a massive cube shield to brace herself. Izuku launches off a wall, bouncing off a cube and coming down with a homing attack that shatters her shield, sending a wave of light across the stage. Hana glides gracefully, regaining her balance, and summons a dog-like energy construct to aid her. As the construct charges, Izuku's eyes light up with enthusiasm. He dashes toward it, and they collide mid-air, creating a burst of energy. Izuku spins around, using his figure-8 dash to slice through the magical beast, dispersing it. Hana struggles to summon more cubes, her energy waning. Izuku appears behind her, not to attack but to wait. He gently acknowledges her skills, noting that he is faster. In an instant he spin dashes forward, stopping just inches from her, causing a gust of wind to hit her face. Present Mic announces Izuku Midoriya as the winner, praising his dazzling display of speed and strategy. Izuku approaches Hana and offers her a hand, asking if she is okay. She smiles, expressing her admiration and determination to be ready next time. As he helps her up, she kisses his cheek, igniting jealousy among the other girls in Class 1S, as well as Classes 1A and 1B. He carries her like a bride, and the crowd erupts in cheers as Present Mic announces the next fight. The next match features Kenji Yamamoto vs. Shoto Todoroki. The arena falls quiet with tension as Todoroki stands tall, one side chilled with a light mist, the other flickering with faint heat. Kenji adjusts his white kitsune mask, ready for battle. Without hesitation, Todoroki stomps the ground, sending a wall of ice rushing toward Kenji, who vanishes, leaving a swirl of leaves in his place. Todoroki narrows his eyes, recognizing Kenji's speed. Kenji reappears behind him, unleashing a foxfire-charged spinning kick. Todoroki blocks it with his ice quirk, creating an explosion that sends Kenji flying back, much to Minami's shock and Endeavor's nod of approval. Suddenly, Kenji flips mid-air, landing gracefully on all fours like a fox, surprising Minami and shocking Endeavor. Kenji faces Todoroki, who emerges from the mist, and acknowledges his opponent's silent demeanor, ready for the next move. Neither do the Wild. He slammed his palm into the ground and foxfire illusions burst to life. 3 glowing afterimages darted out, zigzagging toward Todoroki, whose eyes flicked between each one. He resolved to freeze them all. A giant ice wave erupted from beneath him, expanding in all directions, but Kenji was already in the air, his true form glowing with golden energy. He unleashed his Kitsune art, Spirit Fong Barrage. From his fingertips, foxfire spears launched downward. Todoroki quickly acted an ice shield, but the spears exploded on impact, filling the arena with smoke and light. Kenji dropped into the mist. Moving at lightning speed, he seemed to be everywhere at once. Gritting his teeth, Todoroki decided to stop holding back. He slammed both hands into the ground, calling forth a heaven-piercing glacier. A monstrous spire of ice erupted beneath him, catching Kenji mid-flash step. The ice grazed his arm, slicing through part of his sleeve. He growled as his eyes glowed, acknowledging the close call. That was close. You're the real deal, Kenji thought. So are you, but I can't lose here, Todoroki replied silently. Suddenly, Todoroki unleashed a roaring ice pillar that froze the entire stage, including Kenji himself. Midnight raised her hand, declaring Kenji Yamamoto unable to continue, which meant Shoto Todoroki advanced. The crowd erupted with excitement as Present Mike exclaimed that Todoroki had only used his ice to bring down the Kitsune. Shoto walked away, sighing in relief for not having to use his fire quirk this time. After the arena was unfrozen and Kenji recovered thanks to his Kitsune abilities, Present Mike announced the next match. Brains and Bolts. In one corner, the genius inventor of Class 1S, Travis Tanaka. And in the other, the electric jokester of UA, Denki Kaminari. The crowd buzzed with excitement. Travis walked onto the battlefield wearing his custom tech goggles, his twin tails swishing behind him, a confident and calm expression on his face. Denki cracked his neck, sparks dancing around his body. Denki declared that he wouldn't take it personally and that he was going to light Travis up. Travis smiled, confident in his upgrades made just for this match. Kaminari charged first, electricity crackling as he released a mid-level electric blast toward Travis. In response, Travis lifted off the ground, using his tails like a helicopter rotor, dodging the bolt with grace. As he spun mid-air, mini drone bots flew out from his tool belt, creating a glowing dome shield around him. He announced that it was a shock-resistant energy field, patent pending. Denki grinned as he boosted the voltage, ready to crank it up to 11. He unleashed a surge of max voltage, a huge lightning burst surging outward like a wave. Travis drones absorbed the energy with humming coils, glowing brighter. Tails hit a button on his wrist, redirecting the energy into his electroblasters. Thanks for the power-up, Travis thought as he fired back with precise electric bursts aimed at Kaminari's feet and hands. Denki tried to dodge, but one burst clipped his arm, causing sparks to fly and making him stumble back. He chuckled nervously, acknowledging that it actually stung. Travis swooped in and dropped a device at Kaminari's feet, a stasis trap. It popped open and locked his lower body in a magnetized field, holding him in place. Denki was taken aback, but thinking fast, he used a short burst of electricity to overload the trap and break free. Panting, he became more serious, declaring it was time to risk going dumb. He charged a 1.3 million volts blast, his eyes glowing and hair sparking wildly. Travis calculated rapidly, realizing it was too dangerous to take head-on. If he angled the reflector at 37 degrees, he could redirect it. As Kaminari fired his final blast, Tails threw down a mirror-like satellite dish, redirecting the electricity upward into the sky. Kaminari's eyes widened in disbelief. He realized that Travis could reflect the attack. Travis smirked, suggesting that Kaminari should study physics sometime. Kaminari's body fizzled with leftover static, and his pupils went dull. He smiled stupidly, thinking he saw a pussycat before falling over. Present Mike announced that Travis used high-tech brilliance and quick reflexes to short-circuit Kaminari's charge, advancing to round 2. Travis landed, adjusted his goggles, and waved to the crowd as the audience erupted in applause, a fan-favorite showing for the two-tailed tech wizard. Moments later, Marcus was seen preparing to fight Tenya Ida. Present Mike announced the next match, Speed versus Speed. On one side, UA's jet-propelled rocket, Tenya Ida. On the other, the ultimate life form, Marcus Matsumoto. The crowd leaned in, breath held. Ida stood tall, hands clenched at his sides, engines on his calves hissing steam. Marcus, arms crossed and eyes narrowed, slowly walked to the center with a stoic expression. His red-striped quills swayed as he stopped, glaring at his opponent. Ida declared he would face Marcus with all his might. Marcus coldly replied, challenging Ida to try to keep up. Present Mike shouted for the match to begin. In an instant, Ida burst forward, his engine quirk activated. He rushed at Marcus with reciprocal burst, his legs blazing blue. But Marcus was already gone. A red blur flashed behind Ida as Marcus appeared midair, spinning with a chaos-powered axe kick. Ida blocked just in time, but the impact cratered the ground beneath him, sending him sliding back with sparks flying from his boots. Ida acknowledged that Marcus was not just fast but instantaneous. Marcus vanished again. Ida used his enhanced vision to follow the motion and activated Recipro Extend, leaping upward to predict Marcus' next move. But it was too late. Marcus reappeared behind him and landed a spin kick to his spine, sending Ida crashing back to the floor. The ground quaked, and dust flew as Marcus floated down, powered by subtle chaos energy. He remarked that Ida depended too much on straight lines, making him predictable. Ida, panting but determined, declared he would surprise Marcus. He activated Recipro Turbo, his engines turning red-hot as he exploded forward, zigzagging unpredictably across the battlefield. Marcus' eyes widened slightly, impressed. There it is, he thought, tapping into his chaos boost, glowing red and black. In a flash, the two collided mid-arena, fists and legs clashing at blinding speed. Kicks, dashes, elbow strikes, and chaos spears flew as the crowd watched in awe, barely able to see the battle. Izuku observed from the stands, nodding in approval. He admitted that Ida was indeed trying his best. Ida landed a solid knee to Marcus' ribs, but Marcus grabbed his leg midair, spun, and launched chaos lances across the stadium, with a red energy spear exploding on impact. Ida hit the wall, coughing, his armor cracked. Marcus approached, declaring it was over. He acknowledged Ida's speed but asserted he was not the ultimate. Ida collapsed, too exhausted to stand. Present Mike announced that Marcus Matsumoto took the win in a high-speed spectacle. Tenya Ida gave it his all, but Marcus' raw power and teleportation speed won the day. To be continued. Some moments after Marcus defeated Tenya, Present Mike announced the next match. It was Brains and Brawn versus Slippery Speed. George Takahashi, the genius muscle machine from Class 1S, was up against UA's acid-dancing dynamo, Mina Ishido. Get ready for a wild one. The crowd watched with curiosity and excitement as George Takahashi, towering and broad-shouldered, adjusted his high-tech goggles and rolled his massive shoulders. He wore armored gloves, a utility HS, and had calm, calculating eyes behind his glasses. Mina, stretching and bouncing in place, grinned wide. George smirked, saying he only bench-pressed buildings on weekends and suggested they make it fun. Mina dashed in first, her feet secreting acid to glide across the floor like a hoverboard. Her style was chaotic and fast as she twirled and fired acid shots toward George's feet to trip him up. George calmly calculated her trajectory, then slammed both fists into the ground, causing a shockwave that knocked her off balance. He noted the unstable ground and decided to level the field. Mina rolled and landed, then zigzagged around George with erratic footwork, lobbing acid globs toward his arms and shoulders. Some acid hit, slightly melting his shoulder armor. George complimented her aim but reminded her that his suit was parts ceramic alloy and next-gen. Activating his coconut cannon, George shot explosive coconuts, making Mina flinch and stumble. She managed to dodge the explosive coconuts, sliding underneath and throwing a close-range acid mist upward, splashing it over his goggles. George growled but, instead of panicking, pressed a button on his wrist, ejecting the melted lenses and replacing them with auto-shielded spares. Mina blinked in surprise, thinking it was cheating, but George simply stated it was engineering. He then pounded the ground, sending a mini-quake through the ring. Mina jumped to avoid it, flipping into the air, but George leaped up after her, surprisingly nimble for someone his size. Mina sprayed acid in an arc, but George guarded with his bracers and landed a backhand swipe, knocking her back into the arena floor with a thud. She rolled, coughing, her energy fading. George offered a hand, acknowledging her speed but noting that speed without control burns out quickly. Mina grinned, complimenting him for talking smart for a big guy, to which George replied that he talked smart because he was smart. Mina attempted one last charge, spinning into an acid wheel, but George countered with pineapple bombs, blowing her back as he grabbed and pinned her safely to the ground without hurting her. Present Mike announced that it was over, declaring George Takahashi the winner, praising his blend of brawn and brilliance. The crowd went wild as Gordo helped Mina to her feet like a true gentleman. Mina smiled, saying there were no hard feelings and reminding him never to challenge him to chess or arm wrestling. George agreed, and as they walked away, Beatrice Kendo and Trixie Ojiro prepared to enter the stadium. Present Mike, fired up, introduced the next match, announcing Beatrice Kendo, the elegant Empress of Flame, and Trixie Ojiro, the wild, whip-tailed warrior. The stadium buzzed with excitement as both girls stood calmly on opposite ends of the arena. Beatrice's expression was calm, her purple eyes focused like a flame about to be lit, while Trixie grinned wildly, bouncing on her toes. Trixie asked if Beatrice was ready to dance, to which Beatrice softly replied that she wouldn't hold back if they must fight. Trixie smirked, stating she never did. Trixie charged in first, her tail snapping like a whip. Beatrice remained still until the last second, sidestepping gracefully and leaving a brief trail of heat behind her. Beatrice then retaliated with a swift flame kick, igniting the air around her. Trixie blocked with her tail, the heat singeing her fur slightly but not stopping her momentum. Trixie used her tail to spring into the air, spiraling down like a drill, aiming to strike Beatrice from above. Beatrice raised her hands and summoned a pillar of fire from the ground, forcing Trixie to twist midair and roll away on impact. Trixie laughed, finding Beatrice's fire abilities cool, but insisted she had moves too. She swung her tail into a nearby wall, launching herself toward Beatrice and unleashing a flurry of kicks, all boosted by her prehensile tail. Beatrice expertly dodged and countered with sharp strikes fueled by her pyrokinesis. Their clash lit up the arena, with Trixie's brute force and unpredictable movement against Beatrice's refined, flame-infused martial arts. The fight became a blur of spinning tails and fire trails, and the crowd roared as both fighters landed glancing blows, neither giving an inch. Trixie grinned while panting, claiming she could do this all day, while Beatrice stated she would end it swiftly. Leaping back, Beatrice's hands glowed with intense heat, raising the temperature instantly as she channeled her inner flame. Surrounded by a blazing aura, she shot forward like a meteor. Trixie, caught mid-swing, tried to wrap her tail around Beatrice, but the flames were too hot to grip. Forced to block instead, she skidded backward across the arena. Beatrice landed crouched, flames flickering across the floor, while Trixie, scorched and panting heavily, still stood. Trixie acknowledged Beatrice's victory, admitting it was awesome, and Beatrice praised Trixie for being excellent and thanked her for the challenge. Present Mike announced that it was over, declaring Beatrice Kendo the winner and praising the clash of fire, fury, and finesse. The crowd gave a standing ovation as both warriors shook hands, their respect for each other unshakable. As they walked back, Beatrice approached Izumo and kissed his cheek, wishing him good luck. Izumo thanked her, and then he walked to the stadium, followed by Regina. Present Mike, with flair, announced the next match, introducing Izumo Midoriya, the telekinetic student from Class 1S, and Regina Tokage, the sly, stylish queen of espionage. The stadium buzzed with anticipation as Izumo floated slightly off the ground, his gold eyes glowing with power. Regina leaned back casually, one hand on her hip, winking at the crowd. Regina grinned, teasing Izumo about wanting to mess with her, but he stated he didn't come to flirt, he came to win. Regina chuckled, accepting his response. She struck first, launching into the air with powerful wing beats, zigzagging midair with agile speed. She threw a barrage of precise, sharp kicks and feints, aiming to disorient Izumo, who floated backward, narrowly avoiding her strikes. He raised one hand and caught her mid-dash with a burst of psychic energy, freezing her in place briefly. Izumo triumphantly declared he had her, but Regina smirked as he dropped flash bombs. The lights and smoke forced him to release her as he shielded his eyes. Regina flipped away gracefully, landing on a pillar of the arena with a smirk, reminding him that rule number 1 was to never trust a lady's smile in battle. Izumo shook off the daze, eyes narrowed, and levitated several large chunks of debris, swirling them around him like satellites. He declared it was time to stop playing games and launched the rocks like telekinetic bullets, aiming from multiple angles. Regina dodged midair, weaving between projectiles, but one clipped her wing, making her drop lower. Regina charged forward, striking low and then high, her attacks becoming faster and more aggressive. Izumo blocked and deflected with psychic barriers, but Regina's melee skills began to push him back. Realizing he was being pressured, Izumo slammed his hands together, emitting a massive gravity pulse. Regina felt the sudden weight pulling her to the ground, struggling to move. Izumo declared that it would end now. He raised both arms, lifting Regina entirely off the arena floor, holding her midair like a floating statue. But Regina managed to pull a hidden explosive gem from her boot and threw it just in time, right above Izumo's head. The explosion rocked the arena, knocking Izumo's focus off just long enough for Rouge to slam into him with a corkscrew kick, sending both tumbling. Izumo regained his flight, panting and acknowledging Regina's surprises. Regina landed, breathing hard and remarking that she had to stay fabulous somehow. They faced off one last time, both battered and exhausted but refusing to back down. Izumo gritted his teeth, his hands glowing with a silver aura, and unleashed a psychic slam. He lifted Regina again and forcefully brought her down, pinning her to the arena floor with a telekinetic grip she couldn't break. The announcer exclaimed that Regina was down and unable to move, declaring Izumo the winner with psychic precision. Izumo approached Regina and helped her up while Suzanne cracked her neck, chuckling and preparing for her turn in the stadium. Katsuki followed her, determined to defeat her, unaware that things wouldn't go as he planned. The announcer urged the crowd to hold onto their seats for an electrifying showdown. In one corner stood Suzanne Kaminari, the electric anarchist with a punk attitude, and in the other, Katsuki Bakugo, Yue's walking explosion with zero chill. The crowd buzzed with nervous energy and excitement as sparks flew in the arena. Suzanne narrowed her eyes, electricity crackling around her hair, and taunted Katsuki about being the loudmouth everyone warned her about. Katsuki grinned, his hands smoking, and replied that she talked a lot for someone about to eat dirt. Suzanne declared she would short-circuit his ego. Katsuki burst forward, palms exploding behind him as he rocketed towards Suzanne like a missile. She ducked under the charge and blasted a jolt of lightning from her hands, striking the ground and creating an electrical shockwave. Katsuki dodged mid-air and countered with a concussive blast, forcing Suzanne to skid back, her feet crackling with static. They continued their fierce exchange, Katsuki launching a combo of controlled explosions from above while Suzanne zigzagged across the ground, her speed amplified by electromagnetic bursts. She leaped into the air and delivered a charged punch to Katsuki's side, jolting him with pure electricity. Katsuki grunted in response, countering by grabbing her wrist and detonating a point-blank explosion that sent both of them flying apart. Suzanne tumbled across the ground, recovering with a roll and snarling with amusement. She slammed both palms into the ground, unleashing a surge of electricity that flooded the arena floor, racing toward Katsuki like a tidal wave. He leaped, but the electricity arced through the air, catching him mid-jump. His muscles spasmed slightly, and he lost altitude but maintained control. Katsuki roared that if she wanted to play with volts, he would show her real firepower. He unleashed a howitzer impact light, a compressed explosion spiraling like a cannonball. Suzanne formed an electric barrier to defend herself, absorbing some of the blast but still being thrown back, smoking and panting. Gritting her teeth, Suzanne acknowledged that Katsuki was tough and expressed her enjoyment of the challenge. Katsuki taunted her about being tired, claiming he was just getting warmed up. Suzanne supercharged her body, entering a lightning mode dash, leaving behind glowing trails of energy as she circled Katsuki at blinding speed. He spun mid-air, calculating, and clapped both hands together, pulling in all his remaining nitroglycerin sweat. Katsuki unleashed a stun grenade, a flashbang explosion that disoriented Suzanne for a moment. As he zipped behind her to perform his final attack, Suzanne suddenly grabbed his neck and electrified him, knocking him unconscious. The announcer exclaimed in disbelief that Suzanne Kaminari had outsmarted Katsuki Bakugo and advanced to the next phase. Suzanne smirked while walking back to the stadium as the screen faded to black. Meanwhile, Izuku was seen enjoying chili dogs while Travis analyzed Marcus's abilities and weaknesses. Izumo meditated with Blaze, and George assessed both of their skills. Suzanne chuckled while cracking her neck. Moments later, Izuku prepared to face Shoto Todoroki. He warned Shoto not to expect anything from him because he wouldn't hold back. Shoto merely scoffed in response. Izuku insisted that Shoto better not hold back either, or he would lose quickly. As the match began, Shoto fired a barrage of ice, but Izuku dodged and performed a homing. Shoto tried to evade but was hit by one of the orbs, getting back up and questioning Izuku's intentions. Shoto fired another quick barrage of ice, but Izuku avoided them once more. He declared that he was just trying to meet expectations, wanting to be a smiling, dependable, cool hero. He emphasized that he was giving it everything for everyone, stating that if Shoto became number one without giving it his all, he wasn't serious about denying anyone anything. That was why he had to win. Izuku dashed at Shoto, who jumped above him and crashed down with an ice punch to freeze the ground. Izuku quickly dodged the attack, taunting Shoto about being too slow. Shoto expanded the ice toward one of Izuku's feet, preparing to fire another barrage. Izuku broke free and dodged, performing a spin dash attack. Shoto blocked with an ice shield, but Izuku noticed Shoto trembling. Encouraging Shoto to show more power, Izuku confronted him about holding back. Shoto, angry, questioned if Izuku had spoken to his father. As Shoto rushed at Izuku, he noticed his movements slowing. When Shoto lifted his right foot, Izuku punched his stomach, but Shoto managed to freeze his arm as he recovered and attempted to freeze Izuku again. However, his attacks were too slow, and Izuku easily avoided them, punching him back down. Shoto got back up and rushed at Izuku, only to receive a headbutt in the stomach. Izuku remarked that even though he didn't know what Shoto had been through, if he wasn't going to use his full power, he didn't deserve to be the best. Shoto shouted for Izuku to shut up. Izuku dashed at Shoto and punched him down, insisting that if Shoto kept holding back, he would lose. As Shoto fell to the ground, he was haunted by the memory of his mother burning his face. He slowly recovers. Shoto reflects on his father's legacy and declares that the fire belongs to him, vowing to reject his father's influence. Izuku reminds him that this is his power, not his father's. Shoto recalls a positive memory of his mother, who encouraged him to be his own hero. Touched by her words, Shoto unleashes his fire. He questions why Izuku is helping him, and Izuku encourages him to pursue his dream of becoming a hero. Shoto asserts that he won't hold back anymore. As both boys power up, Midnight and Cementos feel the tension and worry that they might seriously hurt each other. Shoto sends a massive wave of ice toward Izuku, who skillfully avoids it while preparing a powerful homing attack. Shoto heats the air, melting the ice in preparation for a massive flame attack. Izuku counters with a spinning dash attack. Despite Cementos's attempt to intervene, their attacks collide, resulting in a tremendous explosion that destroys the stadium. Meanwhile, Ben, Gwen, and the Glitter Forces struggle to maintain their footing amid the shockwave. As the smoke clears, Izuku stands, breathing heavily, his shirt burned away to reveal his muscular build. This sight causes the girls from classes 1A, 1B, and 1S, along with several female pro-heroes, Mei Hatsum, Gwen, Glitter Forces, and Kiki, to blush intensely, overwhelmed by admiration. Ben smirks at Gwen, teasing her about Izuku. Gwen quickly regains her composure and uses her powers to push Ben off his chair. Back with Izuku, he helps Shoto up as they exit the stadium and the scene fades. After the epic clash between Izuku and Shoto, Marcus and Travis prepare to face each other. Present Mike announces the match, emphasizing the personal stakes involved. In one corner stands Marcus Matsumoto, the ultimate life form and master of chaos, while in the other is Travis Tanaka, the tech genius and loyal hero in the making. The crowd senses the significance of this battle, knowing it is a test of respect and skill between two warriors. Travis adjusts his gloves and tech visor, focusing intently, while Marcus stands confidently, arms crossed. Travis feels the need to prove himself, and Marcus encourages him to give it everything he has. Travis makes the first move, lifting off the ground with his spinning tails, dodging to the side as he deploys hovering drones and a trio of electromagnetic discs aimed at Marcus. In a flash of red, Marcus dodges effortlessly, reappearing behind Travis and delivering a spinning kick. Travis blocks but is pushed back. He flips, plants a shock bomb, and zips away as it detonates, momentarily clouding Marcus's sensors. Travis feels a sense of accomplishment as he follows up with a wrist-mounted cannon blast, sending a concussive wave of plasma toward the smoke. Marcus leaps out, wielding a chaos spear, and hurls it at Travis. Travis counters with a drone shield, but the spear blasts through and shatters the defense. Marcus acknowledges Travis's improvement but senses he is still holding back. In a blink, Marcus vanishes and reappears above Travis, charging a chaos burst. He throws it, but Travis spins away, firing a grappling line to a stadium light, swinging around and launching a shock pulse grenade that explodes near Marcus, pushing him back as he skids across the arena floor. Travis asserts that he is no longer a child. He activates his flight armor, enhancing his speed and defense. Energy pulses from his boots as he charges straight at Marcus, who meets him with equal speed. They collide mid-air, fists clashing and creating a shockwave. Travis attempts to stun Marcus with a timed EMP, but Marcus absorbs it with chaos control, briefly slowing time before delivering a punch to Travis's gut and sweeping his legs out from under him. Marcus acknowledges Travis's strength, noting that he is stronger than before, but asserts that this battle belongs to him. Travis struggles to rise, sparks flying from his armor, but he cannot lift his arm. He smiles weakly, admitting that he still has work to do. Marcus responds that everyone has room for improvement, which is why they continue to fight. He walks away, leaving Travis to gather himself. Present Mike declares the match an intense and respectful one, announcing that Marcus advances to the next round while Travis displayed the heart of a true hero. Travis rises, and the two exit the stadium as George and Beatrice prepare to fight. Present Mike introduces the next battle, highlighting the contrasting strengths of George Takahashi, a walking tank with a scientist's intellect, and Beatrice Kendo, a fierce pyrokinetic. The crowd buzzes with anticipation as George steps into the arena, calm and calculating, while Beatrice enters with grace and quiet confidence, flames flickering at her fingertips. Philip. Eyes, ready for battle. Beatrice expresses her respect for strength but emphasizes that brute force alone won't secure victory. George responds by cracking his knuckles, indicating that he has intelligence to back up his power. Beatrice launches forward, flames spiraling from her heels as she executes a fiery spinning kick. George blocks, his gauntlets absorbing the heat, but the temperature spike triggers his sensors. He counters with a shockwave punch, forcing Beatrice back. She slides across the arena, igniting her hands in preparation for her next move. George notes her predictable opening and decides to test her adaptability. He activates a small pod from his HRSS, creating a magnetic minefield across half the arena. Beatrice skillfully flips over the danger zone, hurling fireballs in a sweeping arc. George deflects one, sidesteps another, and captures a third midair with an energy absorption shield, claiming her fire powers his gauntlets now. With a loud hum, his fists ignite with redirected heat, and he charges at Beatrice. She reacts instantly, surrounding herself in a swirling pillar of flame. George punches into it, sustaining some burns, but retaliates with a ground quake punch that cracks the floor beneath Beatrice, disrupting her balance. Recognizing George's quick adaptability, Beatrice decides to raise the heat. She clenches her fists, her aura flaring with intensity, and enters a boosted state. Her flames grow hotter and more fluid, almost like dancing plasma. Her speed triples, and she vanishes in a trail of flame, reappearing beside George with a blazing roundhouse kick that sends him flying into one of the arena walls. As the dust settles, he coughs, his armor smoldering, but he remains standing. George grins, appreciating the challenge. He activates a switch on his belt, forming a plasma dome shield around him briefly as he charges through Beatrice's next attack, his gauntlets glowing white-hot. The two collide in the center of the arena, flame meeting science, instinct clashing with intelligence. The air erupts with kinetic and thermal energy. Beatrice flips over George, landing gracefully as she channels all her fire into one palm. With a powerful strike to the ground, a wave of flame erupts beneath him, overwhelming his suit's systems. Sparks fly from his technology as he stumbles forward, dropping to one knee with smoke rising from his frame. He raises a fist, but it falls weakly to his side. Present Mike, filled with excitement, announces that Beatrice has triumphed, having burned through both brains and brawn to move on. He acknowledges the incredible match, noting that George gave everything he had. Beatrice approaches George, offering him a hand and expressing her respect for his performance. George laughs, appreciating the challenge, and they shake hands, steam still rising from their bodies. As they exit the stadium, Izumo and Suzanne prepare for their fight. Present Mike energizes the crowd, introducing Izumo Midoriya, a telekinetic titan from Class 1S, and Suzanne Kaminari, a force of raw voltage. The stage is set for a clash of psychic control versus chaotic energy. Izumo floats calmly into the arena, his gold eyes glowing with psychic energy. In contrast, Suzanne enters with a wild grin, sparks dancing around her like an untamed storm. She taunts Izumo, eager to test his calm demeanor against her chaotic nature. Izumo, steady and focused, warns her of her recklessness and vows to end the match quickly. With a burst of speed, Suzanne charges forward, her body crackling with energy. Izumo narrowly sidesteps her punch and counters with a telekinetic shove, sending her flipping back. She lands skillfully, ready to escalate the battle. Suzanne unleashes a flurry of lightning arcs, but Izumo raises a psychic barrier, absorbing the strikes like thunder on glass. He retaliates by lifting debris around the arena, forming a swarm of psychic projectiles aimed at her. Suzanne, with her chaotic speed, weaves through them, closing the distance and delivering a powerful kick. Izumo blocks with a telekinetic wall, but her energy overwhelms it, sending him crashing into a stadium pillar. Izumo grunts in surprise at her speed, while Suzanne boasts that she's just getting started. She rushes in again, but Izumo activates a gravitational wave, pinning her to the ground. Despite her struggles, he begins to levitate her in a swirling sphere of psychic energy. However, Suzanne absorbs her own electricity, her eyes glowing fiercely as she breaks free from his hold in a burst of energy. Izumo, momentarily taken aback, quickly regains composure as they charge at each other. Suzanne launches a powerful uppercut, but Izumo catches her arm with telekinetic force, locking her in midair. He declares that it ends now, focusing his energy to reverse gravity, slamming her down into the arena floor with a concussive blast. Smoke and dust erupt, and when it clears, Suzanne lies still, electricity flickering around her twitching form. She growls, lifts her head, but then collapses. Present Mike exclaims the victory of Izumo, highlighting the clash of rage versus restraint, with telekinetic DSPLN prevailing. Izumo, breathing deeply, floats down gently and approaches Suzanne, who is still catching her breath. He acknowledges her power, noting that while unfocused, she is formidable. Suzanne, weakly, vows to come back stronger next time. He helps her up as they walk out of the stadium, and as Izumo passes Beatrice, She smiles and winks at him, causing him to blush. Meanwhile, Marcus and Izuku stand across from each other, arms crossed, ready for their match. The scene shifts to the stadium, where the crowd cheers as the tournament continues. Present Mike prepares to announce the semi-final matches, building anticipation for the showdown between Izuku Midoriya, the master of speed, and Marcus Matsumoto, the ultimate life form. The tension is palpable as they step to the center, neither engaging in trash talk, but instead, focusing intently on the battle ahead. As the bell rings, they vanish from sight, clashing midair with a shockwave rippling through the stadium. Ben and his grandfather, Max, watch in awe as Gwen and the glitter forces awaken, realizing they are missing an incredible match. Izuku and Marcus engage in a fierce exchange, with Izuku landing first and attempting a spinning kick. Marcus sidesteps, grabbing Izuku's ankle and slamming him to the ground. Izuku bounces back, using the momentum to flip and land on his feet, grinning as he acknowledges Marcus's strength. Marcus, undeterred, launches a chaos spear, which Izuku narrowly dodges as it explodes behind him. Izuku charges forward, unleashing a rapid-fire combo that tests Marcus's reflexes. Though Marcus blocks most of the hits, one grazes his chest, but he remains undeterred. With a determined shout, Marcus activates Chaos Control, slowing time momentarily. Izuku finds himself frozen mid-step, just long enough for Marcus to teleport behind him and deliver a powerful kick that sends him flying. The crowd gasps in concern for Izuku, but he manages to smile through the pain. Determined, Izuku clenches his fists, blue energy crackling around him as he boosts forward at maximum speed. The two blur together, battling across the arena, leaving impact craters in their wake. They unleash their signature attacks, creating a blinding explosion of energy that envelopes the arena. As the dust settles, a figure emerges from the smoke. It's Izuku, barely standing, bruised but resolute, while Marcus kneels, catching his breath. Still conscious but unable to rise, Present Mike announced that Izuku had won, declaring him the victor and advancing to the finals. The crowd erupted in cheers, celebrating the intense rivalry they had just witnessed. Izuku limped over to Marcus, extending his hand in a gesture of sportsmanship. Marcus accepted the handshake, expressing his determination to win next time. Izuku assured him he would be ready for the challenge. They walked off side by side, rivals yet equals. As they passed Beatrice and Izumo, Beatrice leaned in to whisper a secret plan to Izumo, who blushed at her playful demeanor. Present Mike then introduced the next match, highlighting the mutual respect and undeniable power of the competitors. On one side stood Beatrice Kendo, the fire-wielding princess, and on the other, Izumo Midoriya, the psychic powerhouse. Two friends, two forces, and only one could secure a spot in the finals. The arena fell silent as Beatrice and Izumo stepped forward, embodying mutual understanding. Beatrice bowed slightly, flames flickering from her hands, while Izumo floated a few inches off the ground, glowing softly with telekinetic energy. Beatrice declared she wouldn't hold back, even against him, and Izumo nodded in agreement, ready to showcase their best. As the bell rang, Beatrice charged first, executing a graceful flame tornado kick that sent a trail of fire toward Izumo. He quickly countered by lifting a chunk of the arena floor and slamming it into the fire, extinguishing the blast and creating a smokescreen. Beatrice leaped through the smoke, landing a flaming punch, but Izumo caught her wrist midair and telekinetically tossed her across the arena. She flipped, landing skillfully and sliding backward, her heels glowing red-hot against the surface. Izumo acknowledged her speed, and Beatrice noted his newfound strength. They rushed at each other again, with Beatrice unleashing rapid-fire blasts. Izumo floated between them, redirecting one blast into the sky. Beatrice dashed in, sliding under his guard to deliver a burning palm strike to his chest, sending him crashing into the wall. However, he emerged from the rubble, his eyes glowing intensely. Determined, Izumo lifted both hands, causing the arena to tremble as large pieces of stone and debris circled him. He sent them flying toward Beatrice, who ignited her entire body in soul fire, transforming into a blazing cyclone that incinerated the incoming projectiles. The flames and telekinetic pressure collided, creating a massive energy vortex that stunned the audience into silence. Both competitors leaped back, breathing heavily. Beatrice declared that the next move would decide the match, and Izumo agreed. He flew high, forming a massive psychic sphere around himself, creating a gravity field that pulled Beatrice toward him. She resisted, channeling her ultimate fire technique and launching forward in a dragon-shaped flame arc known as Burning Soul Rush. Izumo countered with his Chaos Psychokinesis Burst, an invisible shockwave that met her flames head-on. The sky above the arena erupted in light and heat, and both fell to the ground, scorched and exhausted. As the dust settled, Shoto watched in disbelief, wondering if they had truly pushed each other to their limits. Then, Beatrice rose, while Izumo struggled, dropping to one knee, unable to continue. Present Mike proclaimed it a masterpiece of a match, announcing Beatrice Kendo as the one moving on to the finals, while Izumo had fought valiantly. Beatrice offered her hand to Izumo, who smiled as he accepted it. She helped him up and expressed her gratitude for his effort. Izumo replied that he wouldn't have it any other way. As they walked away, Midnight made her announcement, revealing that the final match was yet to come, pitting Izuku Midoriya against Beatrice Kendo. To be continued. Izuku, known in the gaming world as J-Wong, was deeply immersed in a virtual realm where he faced off against his friend Amanda, who was playing as Mario. The atmosphere was electric as they battled for supremacy, each move calculated and precise. Meanwhile, Sarah, embodying Princess Peach, watched with keen interest, cheering for her friends as they navigated the challenges of the game. As the competition heated up, Izuku felt a rush of adrenaline. He executed a series of impressive maneuvers, showcasing his skills and determination. Amanda countered with her own strategies, her focus unwavering. The tension in the air was palpable, each player pushing the limits of their abilities. In the midst of the action, Izuku's mind raced with thoughts of victory. He envisioned the glory that awaited him if he could outsmart Amanda. The stakes were high, and every moment counted. He leaped into the fray, dodging obstacles and launching attacks with precision. The game continued, filled with thrilling moments and unexpected turns. Izuku's heart raced as he faced challenges that tested his resolve. He knew that every victory was hard-earned, and he was determined to give it his all. The camaraderie between the players added to the excitement, each one encouraging the others as they fought for their place at the top. As the final moments approached, Izuku felt a surge of hope. He had come so far, and he was ready to seize the moment. With one last push, he aimed for victory, knowing that the journey was just as important as the outcome. The game was more than just a competition, it was a testament to friendship, skill, and the thrill of the chase.